What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of Two Friends Talking. This is our brand new podcast where we're going to talk about all things sports, football, drinking, and just really whatever.
Yeah, we're just gonna be shooting the shit, basically.
Now, while this is the first episode of Two Friends Talking, Rick and I are well versed in the podcast space. A few years ago, we had our old one called Betting with the Boys. We ended up doing a full season, but we didn't carry on after that. Life got in the way, moves here and there. One of us decided to get married and have a kid. The other one didn't. So that's where we're at. Anyways, so like I said, we're going to be talking a lot about football, specifically since NFL kicks off this Thursday night. Rick, are you pretty excited about that?
I am. It's been a weird off season. Like, I didn't have hype for the season up until we drafted our fantasy teams for like our personal leagues last week, and then I was like, okay, fucking football's ready. Let's go. I'm so excited now.
It's a weird one, I mean, I think we're both bigger NFL fans than college or other sports, but I think it was a very quiet off season, especially for the Cowboys, who is both of our teams. That there wasn't a lot of hype like other years. Whereas for college, we're also both Texas Longhorns fans, and we're one of the favorites to make the national championship game. So it's a lot more.
I'm putting my house on it.
Right. It's a lot easier to get hype when you know the team's going to be good, as opposed to the Cowboys, who don't get me wrong, it's their year, they're going to be good, but it was a quiet off season. So I'm with you, and it's really snuck up. When we started doing the fantasy drafts a few weeks ago, that's when you kind of realize like, oh shit, we're like 2 weeks away, and we're here. For the format for the podcast, we're going to start every episode with a little intro, kind of shooting the shit like this, and then we're going to hop right into the fantasy segment. And for that, we're going to be doing FanDuel Fantasy weekly fantasy tournaments, whatever it's called. This is our first year doing it, so
never done it before.
Whatever it's called. And the way that works is you join a league, and they range from free to hundreds of dollars. So the ones we're going to be dabbling in are probably $5-10 here, nothing serious. So if anybody wants to join along and compete with us, we'll always show which league we're in at the start of every episode. So look, the way the tournaments work is you join and you're given 60,000 salary dollars, and you go through and you build a lineup of quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, a flex, tight end, defense. And each player is given a numerical value, and you pick your lineup, and the best lineups win. So for reference, for our specific league this week, it's a $3 buy-in, and if you get top 200, it's a $10 prize or something like that. So it's not, it's not going to retire you early, but it's a little bit of extra money to lose on sports gambling here and there.
Yeah, honest day's work right there. And it is our first time doing it, so I'm very interested to see how it goes, because some of these people I think are far overpriced.
I agree.
Some of them are very underpriced. So
I agree.
It's interesting to see this.
I was going through making my lineup, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, I don't even think I could get my actual fantasy team on this. No. I think it would cost way too much. So I don't know if we're just that good at drafting and fantasy. But Rick, you want to talk about the second half, the pick'em part of the podcast?
So for the second half of the podcast, we'll do a throwback to our previous iteration we did, which was betting with the boys. We would do picking against the spread. We're going to keep a tally throughout the season. Last time I kicked his ass.
I think you won by like 1 game.
1 or 2 games, but we'll keep a track against the spread. That makes it a little bit more fun. Instead of just picking them straight up, we'll go against the spread, and we'll do that every week. Or I think we're going to keep tally of it on the what is it, fantasy, ESPN fantasy
on Pigskin Pick'ems.
Yeah, Pigskin Pick'ems. We'll keep it on there. We're going to pick the spread every week. It's very fun, very challenging. Last time we both ended up about 500. Hopefully we've learned, and maybe we'll do a bit better this time. But hopefully I'm gonna take home the W again.
Something tells me we're gonna be pretty close to 500 again this year. Y'all go ahead and drop your predictions below who wins. Like I said, I think Rick won by 1 or 2 games last year.
Might have been 2.
But I was throwing for content, right? Like I set up the league, so there's no way that I could win it year 1, right? So
yeah, just like you always get the first pick in our fantasy leagues.
Exactly. Look, well, I'm the commissioner. I got to get paid somehow for it, right?
No, I do actually. There's a dude that works for me, and he's the commissioner of his fantasy league, and he does everybody else random picks, but he gives himself first pick every year.
Honestly, I like that idea. I think we should start doing that.
And one of the people heard him say that was in his league and ratted him out. So now they're all like, they're doing a whole coup to get him out of the commissioner.
I mean, look, I can relate to that. I've had people have been threatening to coup and overthrow my authority for about 4 years running now, and they haven't done shit.
Yeah, well, this had happened for like They've been in a league for like 4 years, and he had the first pick every time. And I'm like, guys, y'all are stupid. How did you not realize what he was doing?
Right. Even
And
just
he
like
just
if you
let
were to
the
look
cat out
at
the
like
bag.
the luck to have that would be,
Yeah, statistically, getting the first pick every time. Yeah, no.
yeah, that's crazy. All right, so look, let's hop right in. Rick, if you want to go ahead and break down your roster for this week, let us know who you're going with, why, and see if this is the team that can get first place.
I think I built a pretty good team with the money I had. Jordan Love going against a young secondary and at Philly. If he has any of the magic he had last half of the season, that could be a big pickup there. Brees Hall, the only reason I picked him up is because I got him in 2 fantasy leagues. So I'm hoping all
Yeah,
these things
put all
compound.
your eggs in
And
one basket.
yep, and it does really well. ETN, I don't know if I'm going to regret this one because I just swapped him in for Alvin Kamara because I had a little bit extra cash.
So I like ETN.
I'm
I also have him, and you know, I don't think Miami's defense is that good personally.
yeah.
I think he's going to get quite a few receptions out the backfield, and I think he's a big play. Well, you know, he might put up 5 points, or he might put up 25 points. I don't really
Yeah,
feel like he's an in between kind of guy. I don't know.
yeah, I'm kind of I don't know because Kamara is going to catch a lot of balls as per
That's true.
usual.
That's
So
true.
I don't know. I'm not sure on this pick, but I like ETN. But I don't know if like maybe I'd be number one if I had Kamara, but then I get
Mm-hmm.
250. It kind of suck. Cooper Cup, I think he'll bounce back this year and retake his spot as number one in that
Yeah,
offense.
I
And I
agree.
think he was severely underpriced versus where was Puka? Puka was here, who's 1,400 more than him. I don't think there's that much of a difference between those two.
Yeah, no, I
So
agree. In
that
fact,
kind of
I would think Cooper would be because he's still receiver one in that offense. You know.
I agree. I agree. So that kind of blew my mind. DJ Moore, I understand why he's low, but I mean he's been a top 10 fantasy receiver the last 2 years. So for 6,900,
Yeah,
that's a
that's
nice
good value.
price.
That's good value.
Um, Terry McLaurin, he's got a quarterback who's actually accurate now. So that could be a big,
Yep.
big deal because he's been a stud. He just has had the most shit at quarterback. It's been unbelievably
An
helpful. Good for
unfortunate
us. Yeah.
revolving door of
Yeah.
shit.
I think they've started 8 different quarterbacks in the last 8 years, week one, which is
Yeah,
wild.
that's crazy.
It's wild to think about. Dalton Kincaid, I think he has a chance to be tight end one this year. Him and Trey McBride. I almost went with Trey McBride here
Okay.
because Buffalo Milano is out, their
Yep.
middle linebacker who would
Yep.
be covering the tight end. So I almost went there. But I think Kincaid may be the number one tight end just because they have a lot of targets that left that building. Gabe
You-
Davis,
yeah,
Stephon Diggs.
and there's not really another offensive receiving weapon
Yeah. So
that
I
you could
think
name. You know what, Khalil Shakur, Keon Coleman, but none of them have the chemistry with Josh Allen there. So
yeah.
I agree with you on that.
It was another reason why if I would have had 100 more dollars, I would have went with James Cook over
Right.
ETN because I think he's going to end up catching a lot of balls. Flex, I got Chris Godwin.
Okay.
I think he's going to end up being. He hasn't been healthy the last year or two. I think he's working solely out of the slot this year. So
Yeah,
I think
nice.
he'll have a lot of opportunities to catch the ball. He's very cheap. So I think that'll be very interesting to see what he does. And then I picked Chicago's defense because it's a pretty solid unit, and they're facing a second year starter in Will Levis.
You know, a
So
lot
I
of people think Will
figured
Levis could be
NFC
good this year. So what do you think?
He could be. He could be. I don't know because it's hard to say. They spent a lot of money on pieces, but it's tough to say if those pieces will do something.
Right.
Like mesh. And I don't remember who the coaching staff is there now, but I think it's a new coaching staff.
Yep.
So it's another new system. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But I think the Bears defense versus a second year starter, all new pieces, new receivers. They got 2 new receivers, I'm pretty sure. New running back, got rid of Derrick Henry, I think, and they've invested in the defense over here in Chicago. So I think that's a good cheap option to round out my squad.
I like it. I like it.
And I used every dollar. That's what key. I wanted to use every single
There you
dollar
go.
I
Leave
had.
none on the table. Okay, so we actually have quite a few similarities here. In fact, 3 of them. So starting from the top, I'm going with Aaron Rodgers. At San Francisco, I get it's a tough week 1 lineup, but you know, we're limited in how much we can spend. And any of the top tier quarterbacks that are going to be good fantasy quarterbacks are expensive. So I decided to go cheap at quarterback. And when you're getting a multiple time MVP and one of the, in my mind, probably capable of being one of the most explosive offenses, $6,900 is a pretty good value.
Yeah, I think that's a good shout there.
Now, like you, I'm going with Travis Etienne, and like I said, I think he's gonna be good, especially against Miami's defense, who I don't really think is that great. I think he's gonna catch some passes, have some explosive runs, and I mean, if he could put up, like I said, 20 something points this week, I would feel pretty happy with that. I have him in one of my actual full season long leagues, and look, I like the potential there. I think this is a big make or break year for him to kind of prove, like, hey, I can be a workhorse back. So we'll see how it goes. I'm also going with Kenneth Walker, another one of those guys where I think he's going to see a big workload this year. Seattle has tried to bring in backups for him, and none of them play because Kenneth Walker continues to do well. So kind of spending heavy at the running back here position for me, but against Denver, who is not good, either offensively or defensively. Coaching sucks because Sean Payton isn't a good coach. So I like Kenneth Walker a lot in that matchup specifically.
Did you say Sean Payton isn't a good coach?
He's not. He's not. He's like a worse Mike McCarthy.
No.
He is. Check the logs. He's not good.
I'd rather have Sean Payton than
he
Mike
won
McCarthy.
one Super Bowl with a Hall of Fame quarterback, just like Mike McCarthy. They both had two of the best quarterbacks in the 21st century of the 2000s.
Oh, I agree.
And they went to one Super Bowl.
I mean, I agree.
And for Sean Payton, it all took was Bountygate to take out Brett Favre.
Hey, that was Greg Williams.
Cascades down.
He's not a bad. They're gonna have a good year this year for what they are. They're gonna be the third team in their division, but they'll have a good year.
Good season. Can't wait for the team to win 6 games.
It's a lot better than the shit they had last year.
That's fair. They actually have an elite quarterback in Bo Nix this year.
Yeah, I'm gonna be very interested to see how Mr. Nix does.
Yeah, not good. Anyways, a fantasy principle that I love to have is the stack. And if you're new to fantasy, that's when you have your quarterback and either a receiver or a tight end that are on the same team, because in theory, he's the main target and you double dip for a touchdown. While maybe it doesn't make that much sense, I'm a believer in it. So I'm going with Garrett Wilson. I think he's going to have a big year. I picked him first round in one of my leagues last year, thinking, Aaron Rodgers, he's going to have a breakout year, and then Rodgers has to go and tear his Achilles week 1, play 5 or whatever. So I'm excited to see Garrett Wilson, and I understand San Francisco is known for having good defenses. I don't think that matters. Aaron Rodgers has faced a good defense his entire career. Garrett Wilson's going to get open. I think they're going to be a deadly combo this year, and one that I would actually look to have in season-long tournaments as well. Similar to you, I'm going with Scary Terry, but something that you didn't point out is Scary Terry is a great deep ball threat, probably one of the best in the league, and he's finally got a quarterback that has a cannon.
Yeah, I like Jaden Daniels.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, Jaden Daniels, he lit it up at LSU. He can make plays with the legs, but a lot of people misunderstand him. He's not a scrambler. He will stand in the pocket. He can throw the ball 60 yards,
Yeah.
So
his best attribute is ball placement.
Yeah.
And that's been huge. Like, he has an arm, ball placement. He is inaccurate. There's a difference between accuracy or being accurate and having accuracy.
Yep.
Like, he's pinpoint. Like, if you have to get it there, he's putting it there.
Yeah.
He's very good at that. So I think it's going to be great for Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, I agree. As a Cowboys fan, it's unfortunate, but I mean, McLaurin ain't going to do anything on Diggs, so we're good.
Don't worry about that shit ass
Now,
team.
Speaking of the other Diggs, we got Stephon, the drama king himself. Just got traded to Houston this offseason. And I understand there's a lot of talent in that receiver room and really in that offense in general. This reminds me a lot of a few years ago when going into Baker Mayfield's second season with Cleveland. He had a really great rookie year. And the second season, everybody were saying, Baker might be able to win MVP this year, when they had Jarvis Landry.
Oh, yeah. Odell Beckham.
OBJ. I think they had Njoku still at the time. And Chubb. And everybody was saying, Baker, he's a sleeper MVP candidate. I feel like that's the respect CJ Stroud is getting currently. And we've seen how that works in the past. It usually is a letdown that year too. And that's where I wouldn't be shocked if Houston isn't as good as everybody thinks this year. But with this being the first game with the new star receiver, I think he's going to get force-fed because everybody knows what's going to happen if he doesn't. He's going to go over to the bench and cry and whine about not getting the ball. And for that reason, I'm going with him. I think for $6,800, that's good value. I think he's going to get probably a touchdown, maybe 6, 7 catches, 100 yards, which will be a really good fantasy week. And like you, I'm also going Dalton Kincaid, like we talked about. He's really the only notable receiving threat in that offense. I don't really know what these.
Keon Coleman, I think, is going to be a bust.
Yeah, he can't create separation. Right.
If you can't separate, you can't play in the NFL unless you just win every 50-50 ball.
Right, which probably isn't happening. So for that reason, I like Dalton Kincaid. I'm not high on James Cook. He has screwed me over in the past in fantasy leagues, so I don't forget about that kind of stuff. So screw him. We're going Dalton Kincaid at tight end. Now, I'm changing up a little bit from you and my flex here. You went receiver. I'm going running back. And this is a player that I have in both of my long leagues. And this is a guy that I've been high on him for a while, and that's James Conner. First off, for 6,100 is a steal because he doesn't really have a true. I don't care. He is going to run the ball 22 to 25 times. He's going to be 100 yards and maybe a touchdown or two a game. He's a workhorse.
Well, let me ask you this: Is this a PPR?
I don't know.
I don't either. We'll find out.
Not sure if this is PPR league or not, but it doesn't matter. James Conner, workhorse. He's going to tote the rock against a Buffalo defense that is not that great of a defense either, in my opinion. Kyler Murray, not that great. So what are they going to do? They're going to run the ball. They have a defensive-minded head coach. They have a rookie receiver as their number one target, and they have a defensive-minded head coach. And you know what defensive-minded coaches do? They run the damn ball. And that's what we're going to do with James Conner, okay? And then lastly, to wrap up the defense, I kind of just settled here. Typically, I'm a homer for the Cowboys defense because they force hella turnovers, or the Browns, but they play each other this week, so I don't like the matchups. But what I do like is Seattle. We talked about it earlier with Kenneth Walker, but I think Denver's going to suck. And I think Seattle's defense is underrated. Byron Murphy could be a defensive rookie of the year candidate in my mind. Also, where did he go, Rick?
UT. Hook 'em.
Exactly. So I think he should be the shoe in there, and he's going to revolutionize that Seahawks defense with a good pass rush. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm rambling on now anyways, but yeah. So now look, just kind of wrap up. We showed you which league we were going to be in. So it's this 1.5K Thursday NFL snap, 150 to first league, $3 entry fee. And yeah, so if y'all want to join in, compete with us, see if you can be better than us, payouts here. So like I said, top 150 doubles their money with $6, but if you get top 10, you're going home with $15 or 20.
Did you see the scoring?
No, let's look at the scoring. Looking at the scoring here, let's see. Is there receptions?
Half PPR. Half
PPR. Okay. So it's a half PPR league, so y'all just keep that in mind when you're picking your teams. I didn't, but I also don't think I would have changed my lineup too much anyways. All right, so cool. So now we are done with the fantasy segment, so I'm excited to see how that works out. Like Rick was saying, this is our first year doing it. We've done like the prize picks and we've done long season fantasy before, but never this. So I'm excited to see how it goes. Rick, do you have high expectations? Do you think you're going to do good?
I think I picked a damn winner. I mean, if you ain't first, you're last. And I'm taking home that $150 that goes to first place.
What are you going to buy with that $150 if you do win?
I'm going to leave it in there in case I lose money.
There you go. That's how you do it. That's where you double down. You enter into one of the big money leagues thinking you can win big time, and then you lose it all.
Lose it all.
All right, so let's transition over to our pick'em segment. We made our picks, and we actually only differ on 3 this week, which I think we're both pretty aligned with our picks. But Rick, you want to kick it off? Go through who you're picking this week to win?
Yeah, so...
Mind you, sorry, not win, but to cover. We're doing the spreads, so we're going to betting lines.
Spread. So betting on the spread, I've got the Chiefs winning by more than 2. I've got the Packers, I think, are just going to outright beat the Eagles. Eagles are trash. Unbiased NFL fans, by the way.
Agree.
I'm going to go with the Falcons over the Steelers. They're kind of a mess over there, and I think Kirkland is going to do something. This is the one where I think the Bills are actually going to win the game, but I think the Cardinals will cover.
6.5 is a big line.
Big line. Titans, I think, are going to cover. This is going to be a close game. I could see it being like a double doing class field goal type situation. Yeah. So I think they'll cover, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears won. This is a big line here. I just think the Patriots are dog shit, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, did they officially name Drake May the starter, or who's going to be their quarterback?
No, Jacoby Brissett's their starter.
Interesting, okay.
I think they just don't want Drake May to die.
Makes sense.
They don't have very many targets. Christian Barmore is out with some sort of health condition.
That sucks.
He's a big anchor in their defense. Even if Jamar Chase doesn't play, I think they smoke him.
I agree.
Then I got the Texans beating the Colts. Don't think it'll be particularly close. This could be a very good game here, the Battle of Florida, but I'm going to take the Dolphins here. I think they just have better weapons overall, and neither one of these quarterbacks are consistent, but I think Tua is going to get the job done with Tyreek. I got the Panthers beating the Saints. Used to be a big believer in Derek Carr. I am no longer.
Nope.
He's not very good. Got the Vikings beating the Giants. You may notice a trend here.
What's that trend?
I'm an unbiased NFL fan, but
does it have anything to do with the NFC East?
I didn't notice it until now, actually. But also, I think the Giants might have the number 1 pick this year. They're terrible.
I agree.
Daniel Jones is god awful. So I'm taking the Vikings there. I like Jim Harbaugh. I'm a believer in Jim Harbaugh. I think they've got the better quarterback, the better team, and the Raiders. I don't know. Mr. Minshew's awesome. I like him. I like his moxie. I like the cut of his jib. But I don't think they.
Hold on. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, you ever heard that saying? The cut of his jib?
I have not.
Then I'm going to go with the Broncos over the Seahawks. I do think the Seahawks win this game. Okay. I just think the Broncos will cover. Yeah. Then the Cowboys, I got beating the Browns, of course.
I agree.
And then I'm going to take the Buccaneers over the Commanders. No
I think that's a legit pick.
No particular reason there. Then I got the Lions beating the Rams. I think Detroit may have the number 1 seed this year, and I think they put the league on notice here with this
Interesting.
game.
That's a hot take.
Because I think I love Dan Campbell. I wish he was my head coach. I'd run through a wall for him. But I just got a feeling they're going to put a hurting on them, especially with their starting running back returning kicks over here.
True.
And then and then I'm gonna take the Jets here. I think Aaron Rodgers is gonna make a statement. 6.5 points is a lot for any Aaron Rodgers team to have. So, and I think they could have the number 1 offense. The 49ers could have the number 1 defense. That's pretty much it. That's all my picks there. So Chase, if you want to take it away and show us what you got, and let's see where we differ.
All right, so like I said, we don't have a lot, but one of the first ones is going to be Thursday night. I'm going with the Ravens. We have multiple-time MVP quarterback Lamar Jackson, and this has no correlation to him being my fantasy team quarterback in another league, but I think he's going to light the Chiefs' ass up. First off, the Chiefs still don't have a good receiver other than Xavier Worthy, but he's about 160 pounds. And I don't think he's going to play as much of an instant impact as we would have originally thought. Also, Baltimore now has King Henry. So not only do they have a stud running quarterback, they finally have a stud running back that imagine running zone option with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry.
Yeah, both literally thunder and lightning.
Exactly. But with that, I think Baltimore wins the game outright. The Chiefs don't play good week 1, specifically on Thursday night. You got to think last year they lost to Detroit, I think, or was that 2 years ago? I don't know. Anyways, Chiefs down, Ravens up. I'm with you. I think the Packers win this outright. They really had a great end of the season. Jordan Love got hot when it mattered most, and they won a playoff game, unfortunately, to our demise. But yeah, so I think Green Bay, they improved. They brought in Josh Jacobs, who I think is an upgrade over Aaron Jones. They strengthened the defense. I think they're going to beat the Eagles outright. Also, I think the Eagles have gotten worse. They got rid of one of their premier pass rushers in Hassan Reddick. They added in probably a worse offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore. So, plus Jalen Hurts is not a good quarterback. I've been saying this his entire career, and I stand by it. And it's not just because he's the Eagles quarterback. I like Jalen Hurts. I think he's a good stand-up guy. I just don't think he's a good quarterback. You need 1 yard on a quarterback sneak? Sure. You need him to stand in the pocket while the defense is blitzing and hit a wide open target 40 yards down the field? He's not your guy.
Fair enough.
So look, we're probably starting this off wrong, and we're going to piss off any Philadelphia Eagles fans. So look, I promise we're not always like this. Usually, but not always. But I'm with you. I think the Falcons are going to look good here. Now, I do have something I'm interested to see. Is Kirk 100% ready to go week 1? Because the only reason I question that is, a few weeks back when the coach said, oh, Michael Penix doesn't need to play in the preseason anymore. We already saw all we need to see. He's a rookie.
Yeah.
Why did you not play him more just to get him NFL reps?
I don't know. That seemed pretty ignorant to me. I feel like Penix should have played every snap he could.
I agree.
But I guess you don't do that if Kirk isn't ready. I don't know.
See, that's what
It's
I
gonna
was
be
thinking. I was
interesting.
thinking is because like we haven't heard anything. I don't know. But regardless, I think the Falcons win this game outright. New coach, new quarterback. I'm excited for what that means for Bijan Robinson. I think
Yes,
this
thank
is
God.
gonna finally be the year Kyle Pitts goes off. I think either of us have had him on our fantasy team for the last 3 years, and he hasn't done anything. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see how Kyle Pitts does this year also. I'm with you. I think the Cardinals cover. I think the Bills win, but 6.5 is a big line. And neither of these teams, like the Cardinals aren't super bad, and the Bills, I don't think are super good. They're both like
Yeah.
good and bad, but not on the far ends of the spectrum. Whatever,
really-
that's a horrible explanation, but
whatever. It just depends on which Josh Allen shows up for this game. Honestly,
yeah, is
If
he going to throw
shows up and
3
plays
picks
lights
or is he
out,
going to throw 5 touchdowns? Or do
Yeah.
both? Then we got a ball game. But
conundrum.
I think it also depends on what we get out of Kyler. I think James Conner is going to get his reps and he'll be able to run the ball. But it also comes back to Kyler. How is Marvin Harrison Jr. going to be? Is Trey McBride going to live up to the expectations of being one of the top fantasy tight ends? I don't know. We'll find out. But I like plus 6.5 there. I'm opposite of you actually. I think Chicago covers. Caleb
Biden and
Williams.
Caleb Williams.
Yeah, I think I'm not sipping the Kool-Aid because I'm a Caleb Williams hater, but I just don't think Tennessee's good, and I think Chicago added too many weapons to the offense to not be good. DeAndre Swift, Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze. They strengthened up the offensive line. They strengthened up the defense. I think the team on paper is good. And it's just going to be interesting to see if Caleb Williams can come in and be the glue that meshes everything together. And I think he'll be able to. I really did hesitate on this Bengals Patriots pick because
too.
8.5 is a lot. And I'm with you. I think the Patriots will suck, but 8.5 points is a lot. It always seems like we have these week 1 picks where there's some team that's a massive favorite
it's
and
just
they
hard.
win
How
by
you-
like
how
a
do you-
field goal,
Yeah, it's just hard. How do you make a spread that big
Right.
on the first week when you haven't seen the teams? It's
I agree.
really
I
kind of
agree.
rough.
But I have faith in Joe, even if Jamar doesn't play. They have T. Higgins, who's one of the best receiver 2s in the league. I'm not sure. Who's their running back? Is it going to be Chase Brown to start the season, or do they have somebody else that I can't think of?
I think they got Zach Moss. They picked up
That's
Zach
right.
Moss. I think
Okay.
he's going to be running back 1 to start.
Yeah. So that's going to be interesting, but I like Bengals there. I'm with you. I like the Texans. Now, I know I was talking all that crap earlier where I could see them being a letdown this year. They're still better than the Colts. I think the Colts are an intriguing team this year, but so much of it weighs on Anthony Richardson and how he's going to play. He didn't play that great last year when he was healthy. He didn't play that great at Florida. And now all of a sudden everybody's imagining that he's going to be really good this year.
Monster. He's a fantasy monster. I think he played like 8 snaps against the team he got hurt against last year and had 17 points. But he's just an athletic freak.
Yeah.
But does that translate to winning football games?
We'll see. And does it translate to staying healthy this year? A lot of questions to be asked there. But I think the Texans ended the year hot, and I think they start how they ended week 1. I'm with you here on the Dolphins. I think that offense is just too explosive. And like you said, both quarterbacks have been hot and cold, hit or miss. Consistency is their biggest issue. But I think the Dolphins have a more complete offense. And, when you have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, that's already going to be tough. And when you have the backfield of Devon Achane and Raheem Mostert, there's so many weapons in that offense that, how can you double team Tyreek Hill when Jalen Waddle's on the other side of the field who's just as dangerous, He's going
to get 1,300 yards on the season. It's really tough.
I think Carolina can win this one outright, actually. Look, I know the Panthers sucked last year, and they're probably going to suck this year, but I also don't think the Saints are that good. Like you with Derek Carr, I don't think Dennis Allen's a good coach. I don't know how he is still employed when
he doesn't need
a coach has never done less with more than he has. Probably have, but the Saints are always at the top spending list for salary cap. Every year you read about how they have to cut like $60 million in salary cap, and somehow they do that, and they somehow don't have any superstar players other than Alvin Kamara really to show for.
And Cam Jordan.
Who's about 45 years old, it feels like now.
Well, Demario Davis as well. He's
Demario
old,
Davis,
he's
okay.
Still,
he's also like 40. But you know what I mean, though? Like, when you're like, those are 2 or 3 handful positions. But really, when you think of the Saints, you think of Kamara, and that's it. And they have not been good since Drew Brees left. They haven't been
Yeah,
good since
Dennis
Sean
Allen, you can
Payton
tell.
left, really. Now, I don't think that's a Sean Payton thing because, like I said, I don't think he's a good coach either. But I like the Panthers here. 4.5 points. I think this will be a close one regardless, but I do think the Panthers could win this outright. I expect Bryce Young to look a little bit better. They added some weapons. I'm interested to see if our boy Tavion Sanders plays for them. I know he did pretty well in the preseason,
Yeah.
but I'm not sure what the depth
Like,
chart's looking like if he's
and
actually
it's
going to
gonna be
play.
it'll be interesting with Deontay Johnson and Adam Thielen to see who
Yeah,
emerges as the number one. Because Thielen had a good year last
I
year,
agree.
and
He did well for me in fantasy.
Deontay will have a quarterback throwing him the ball now.
Yeah, well, you hope.
So yeah. I mean, I think Bryce Young's good and accurate. We'll see how that goes.
I think the biggest question for them is going to be the offensive line. Can they hold up and give Bryce Young time? Because last year, I think he was like the most sacked quarterback in the league. And if that's going to replicate, it's not going to be good. I'm with the Vikings here, -1.5. First off, I don't think the Giants are that good. I don't think Daniel Jones is that good. They have a lot other holes they needed to fill. Now, I do like Malik Neighbors, but that's not that great of a roster. Meanwhile, the Vikings are lacking, I think, just quarterback. I think they have a really good line. They have great offensive weapons. Their defense, they spent money there, and they also have one of the best defensive coordinators in the league in Brian Flores.
What's the word on Hawkinson? You may know better than me.
Yeah, so
I don't
he's
know what's going on
started on the IR or the PUP or whatever, and he's going to be out probably 5 to 6 weeks. So he'll be back halfway through the year, which is going to be fine. But I think Sam Darnold has everything around him to succeed. And so maybe we see some sort of resurgence because I was excited to see JJ McCarthy. But
yeah, it's a shame what happened with him. But it might be a good thing where he can be in the building learning.
Yeah.
Not play, no expectations.
Sit for a year and learn. Yeah, I agree with you there. And I think that offense is going to be very explosive because, I mean, Justin Jefferson is so good that both you and I could throw him the ball, and he's going to put up 1,200 yards and 8 touchdowns a season.
Well, I don't know about you, but I could.
One of us could. Anyways, moving on. I'm with you on the Chargers. I don't think Raiders are going to be that great this year. I like Minshew also, but I like his personality. Meanwhile, the Chargers have a strong roster. I don't know who their number one receiver is going to be this year. Is it going to be Josh Palmer? Is it going to be Lad McConkey? I don't know. But Justin Herbert this is kind of a big year for him also to prove, like, does he have it or not? He's got the moxie when he has his long hair. When he has his short, I don't know. But
he already got paid too.
I know. He got paid, but has he really deserved it?
Hot take. He has done nothing to be put in that top 7 quarterback range that he's always put in. Everybody just talks about him having the tools. When the fuck are the tools going to go to work?
Exactly.
Because they have not been winning games.
Right.
They have not been very good.
You know, speaking of teams that have done less with more, the Chargers are also right up there. I mean, they've had one of the strongest rosters in the league the last 3 or 4 years, and they have done nothing.
I think I've picked them to go to the championship game
multiple
3 times because I was like, man, this roster is just so good. How do you?
And then they have missed the playoffs twice.
Yeah,
the last
just
3
ask
years,
Brandon Staley how you do that.
Moving on, I'm different from you here. I think the Seahawks win this game. I think they cover 4.5. Like we've said earlier, I don't think Denver's going to be that great this year. I don't think Sean Payton's that great of a coach personally. Bo Nix, I mean, it took him 6 years.
Say that if Sean Payton was coaching the Cowboys.
Well, he's not, so I don't live in hypotheticals. All right. Bo Nix, it took him 6 years to finally get drafted in the NFL. So, and he went number 11, which is just wild. But the only weapon I really like on that Denver offense is Javonte Williams. Other than that, I don't think
Orland is a touchdown machine. Don't sleep.
Well, it all depends on who's throwing him the ball. He did have Hall of Famer Russell Wilson before. Now he's got 7th year super senior Bo Nix. So we'll see. But look, the Seahawks, their roster's not that great on offense. Geno Smith, kind of a career resurgence, but they're going to run the ball with Kenneth Walker, and they still have one of the deadliest receiver duos in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. So,
Smith and Jigba.
And Jackson Smith and Jigba. Can't forget about him. So I think Seattle will compete for the NFC West, but realistically, it's probably going to be for a wild card spot. There's a lot of question marks on the Seahawks and how far they can go this year. Moving on to my favorite game of the week, and that's going to be the Dallas Cowboys at Cleveland. Cowboys here is a lock, I think. I don't have a lot of faith in Deshaun Watson.
Hey, what are you going to be doing at 3:25 on Sunday?
I'm probably going to be sitting on the couch right out there, looking at my television, specifically watching this game. What about you?
Are you gonna have you a drink? Are you gonna get you a nice whiskey?
Probably not. Probably have a Coke Zero.
I was gonna drink water, but I might drink a Coke Zero instead.
I'm not a scientist, but I have heard that there have been studies done that prove Coke Zero is actually healthier than water.
Ah.
So, you know, not medical advice. Like I said, I'm not a doctor, but that's what I've heard. So Coke, if you want to sponsor us with some free Coke Zero, we'll take it.
Yeah. Hey, I got a refrigerator right here. I'll fill it up.
Yeah, I have one right there. Also, I'll fill it up. But back to the Cowboys game. Miles Garrett does scare me, but I think the Cowboys, all offseason I thought it was an underwhelming year, but Tyler Guyton and Cooper Beebe, two rookie offensive linemen, actually have balled out in the preseason. So I'm excited to see how they look. They got CD locked up long term. So I think it's going to be more of the same. Cowboys are going to be really good in the regular season. And then let's see what happens come
Yeah.
playoff time.
And they made a few moves on the defense that's sneaky, adding in like Jordan Phillips and who was the other D tackle they added? One Linval Joseph.
Oh, yeah, Linval Joseph.
Like those are two sneaky run stuffer type, like just take out blocks and keep our linebackers clean, which has been a huge issue.
I agree.
So I think pairing them with Osa and Mozzie Smith is going to be really good for our interior defensive line.
Yeah.
Just some veteran help there.
Yeah, I agree. I'm also going with Tampa here. I think Tampa's a solid team. Meanwhile, Washington, brand new head coach. I think their roster isn't that great from top to bottom. Whereas Tampa won their division last year. They've been in the playoffs, 3 of the 4, maybe 4 of the 4 last years. Baker's played really well. So I think the Buccaneers win this game by probably 6 to 7 points.
Yeah, they paid Baker this year. He got $100 million. He's been solid for him.
Yeah.
Found him a home in Tampa.
Yeah. So, and Mike Evans is going to probably put up another 1,000-yard season for, to continue the streak of, that's the stat that's crazy to me, is he's had 1,000+ yards receiving in every single season in the NFL.
Yeah, I think one season he had 1,001 yard. That's how crazy. But
just
like last year was a great year. He had like 1,250. That's a good season. And he's set up to do another year just like it.
I agree. I'm going with the Lions here. I'm with you. I don't think they're going to be the 1 seed first off, but I think they're good. My biggest question mark for the Lions is going to be, what's the running back room look like? Is anybody that took Jahmyr Gibbs going to get shafted by David Montgomery again? Or is the workload going to shift more to Gibbs? That's what I would like to see, but I think it's still going to be a running back by committee, and that's why I shied away from either of them. Jared Goofball has had a good career resurgence in Detroit. He gets to face his old team here, and, he probably has a little bit of vengeance for them. So I think that's going to be a really good game. Sunday night, I think the Lions win that. I think they probably win the NFC North, but I don't know about the 1 seed, but we'll see. All right, and then to wrap it up, our Monday night game, we both picked the Jets. Now, question for you. Did you think the Jets are going to win this outright, or do you just think they're going to cover?
I think they're going to win it outright.
Okay.
But 6.5 points, I'm super comfortable giving any Aaron Rodgers team 6.5 points.
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually picked this. Yeah, go ahead.
I think they're going to win just because the San Francisco 49ers have had half their starting offense, like their main pieces, not practice or play. Trent Williams just got a deal done. I think it was this morning or yesterday. I don't remember.
This morning.
Ayuk was this past week. McCaffrey hasn't practiced because he's been hurt. That's a lot of time. Now, granted, they're veterans. They know what they're doing. They're going to be fine.
Still.
But it may take a half of football to get in the groove. So I think the Jets may just win it outright because their defense was great last year. They just had a shitty quarterback.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I originally picked this thinking I think the Jets are going to win this outright as well. The biggest question mark is going to be, how does Aaron Rodgers look? Does it look like Aaron Rodgers as usual? Or are we going to see signs of aging, of coming off a torn Achilles?
Yeah.
They have one of the best running backs in the league in Breece Hall. They've got one of the best receivers in the league in Garrett Wilson. Their offensive line has been cleaned up a little bit and it's good. The defense is solid with Sauce Gardner. They have the pieces there that they could win the AFC East if everybody stays healthy. And I think this is going to be a really good test to see how good they are. Because even if they lose by 1 or 2 points and play a good game, I think people will be on notice and be like, oh shit, the Jets are actually pretty good this year. There's just a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, I agree. But I think they just got that. They could have that magical run. Quarterback coming off an injury, young receivers, young offense, second team. He goes and wins a Super Bowl. That's storybook ending shit right there.
I agree.
And I feel that they have that. they have that kind of feel about them. That's why I felt last year. Got hurt 4 plays in. Let's see if it happens this year. See if he can finish it out.
All right, so look, we went through our fantasy, we went through our pick'ems, which is going to be the standard episode moving forward. I'm excited to see how we do week 1. I wouldn't be surprised if I go, is it 16 picks? If I go 16-0 this week.
You know, I would tend to agree with you, but the problem is you picked 3 different than me.
Yeah, but I picked them the correct way.
So I'm going to go 16-0. You're going to go 13-3, and I'm going to start off 3 games ahead, just like I beat you by 3 games last year. So.
I don't know about that. But look, before we wrap things up, Rick, you want to go ahead and give me your prediction for Super Bowl matchup and Super Bowl winner this year?
Super Bowl matchup. I think we're going to see something that's never been done before.
Okay.
Okay, when you see the Detroit Lions.
Interesting.
Face Kansas City.
Wow.
And Kansas City wins 3 Super Bowls back-to-back.
That's 3-peat. Hasn't been done by many teams.
It's never been done before.
In the NFL.
So I think that's going to be the Super Bowl. I think the Detroit Lions, they were in the NFC Championship game last year. I think they get over the hump, make it to the big game. I don't think they win because the quarterback differential. But I'm going to say Kansas City wins it. They've gotten better this year. The last season, they had the worst team Patrick Mahomes has ever had. And they won the damn Super Bowl. I think he wins it again this year. I think he brings home the regular season MVP trophy.
Wow, okay. That's fair.
Hot take.
Back-to-back Super Bowl champs already and multiple-time MVP winning it again. That's very bold. Look,
hey, it's never been done before.
That's fair. That's true. Look, I'm throwing out some flyers here. I think the representative from the NFC is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. I think that's a pretty.
3 in the last 4.
I think that's a pretty safe pick. However, from the AFC, I think we're going to get the Baltimore Ravens. I think they're the real deal this year. I think they made some really good additions this offseason that take that team to the next threshold of Super Bowl contender. And I think the Ravens will win it. But now
I would like to see that.
As opposed to you, I'm not going with my Super Bowl winning team having the quarterback that wins MVP. I don't think Lamar will win it again. I think the MVP is going to go to the one and only Joe Shiesty, Joe Burrow.
Interesting.
It's kind of out there. You know, he came onto the scene with a lot of hype and he lived up to it. He kind of had a down year last year with injuries and everything. So I think he's going to hit the ground running this year, and he's my preseason prediction to win MVP.
So you've got the Ravens beating the 49ers. I've got Kansas City beating the Lions.
And then I have Joe Burrow as MVP, and you have Patrick Mahomes.
Interesting.
So look, we'll see if any of this comes to fruition. I know last year we went through and we did our predictions for all of the awards, and I don't think we got any of them right. We didn't get the Super Bowl matchup right or anything.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like one of us is probably going to be corrected this year. Anyways, folks, look, we appreciate y'all watching. If you liked the episode, please give it a thumbs up. It does mean a lot. Go ahead and comment your pick for the Super Bowl plus MVP below. Also, anything you'd like to see us talk about on the next episode, right? Whether that's sports related or not, we'd love to have something else to bullshit about, right?
Yeah, sounds good. I love bullshitting. 2 friends talking. That's what we do.
Yeah, I know you've been bullshitting fucking all week trying to get you on this episode. Anyways, folks, if you want to see more, make sure you subscribe. Tune in every Thursday for new episodes of 2 Friends Talking. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.